It's hurricane season in Florida, which means we've got all kind of storms brewing in the Atlantic, moving from Africa across to the East Coast in general, and we have to be prepared for this.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Hidden Oaks Homestead. It's Nicole and Chip. It's been 2.5 years since we got started.
With hurricane season comes a couple of things that we have to be prepared for here in Florida. The top things to consider for us when hurricane season arrives is power, food, and water. Those three are the most important things to consider. Obviously, we have shelter, and if there's a hurricane warning coming in for a hurricane category 3 and above, we really need to think hard about potentially evacuating. In 2020, when we first got back and when we first established our homestead, not only did we have not a whole lot of infrastructure and protection in place for our animals, but we did have a hurricane come through right the same year that we got back from the Middle East. We had Hurricane Sally hit us. We're getting ready for Sally. We're supposed to get a hurricane out here.
2020, right? Hurricane Sally, you guys have heard about her. She's in the Gulf right now. She's moving slow.
She's just kind of sitting there soaking up all that water.
She was supposed to hit Louisiana, then she was supposed to go to Mississippi.
Then Alabama.
Now she's headed to Alabama, and the eye is supposed to make landfall about
50 miles from here.
Yeah, about an hour away.
Yeah. Luckily, Sally only made landfall as a category 2, which is still a pretty strong storm, and we didn't have water or power for 5 days. So we filled up our garage. We now have meat birds and bunnies and peacocks and guinea babies in our garage because they're not going to fare very well with the winds and the rain.
We put the most vulnerable animals that we have into the garage. The hardier animals, the ones that we think can make it through this, we've left them out. The goats have a pretty safe structure. They're going to hunker down in their goat area. The pigs will probably go under a trailer or something.
Or just roll in the mud.
I am not worried about those pigs at all. They'll be fine. Oh, we're safe.
We're safe.
We're safe.
We're safe. The animals in the garage are safe.
Dogs are good. Cats are good. Goats are good. Pigs are good. Chickens are to be determined. Just about, with the exception of the hoop house back here, every structure that we have built ourselves since we've been back, the fence,
the goat fence,
the goat shelter, the shed, the chicken coop, everything has trees on top of it.
Now, when I say we didn't have water, we do have a creek running through the back end of our property. So we do have fresh water running that we can take from if we need it. For right now, our well runs on electricity. So in order to be able to run the well, we can plug in a generator and have fresh running water from the ground here. Other than that, to prepare for no running water necessarily, because we can only run the generators for so long, we typically fill up all the bathtubs. We fill up all large containers that we have in order to make sure that we have drinking water available for all of the animals, and that typically lasts us a good long while. We talked about water. We talked about electricity. As a backup for electricity, we do have 2 generators to help us keep freezers and fridges running, as well as fans overnight. if you keep your fridge and your ice chest closed, you're really not going to lose much of the temperature in there. So the trick is run it a couple of hours a day and leave those doors closed as much as possible. When it comes to stocking up, I like to buy in bulk. Now, not everything I buy in bulk. There are certain things that I can't get at the big box stores here in bulk, so I have to source them outside, like flour and things like that. However, we can prepare with easy meals such as canned baked beans, such as additional tomato sauce, such as canned chicken, canned tuna, crackers, cookies, protein bars, and things like that that we need here in order to make it through hurricane season when we don't have power. We stocked up on barbecue canned beans. We stocked up on a couple of pre-made canned meals such as some Chef Boyardee ravioli and spaghetti, and easy to make and throw on the grill meals that we don't have to do a lot of cooking around. We do have a gas-based cooking spot outside of the house, so we can take out of the freezer, take our fresh homegrown meat out of the freezer and cook that along with some fresh vegetables. But since we never know how long we will not have power, we need to be prepared for at least 4 to 6 weeks at a time. In the back, and then there's 2 going up front. Wow. We got like 60 trees down. Really? In stocking up the pantry with food and bulk goods comes the need for gas and diesel fuel as well for our generators and the machinery. We need to be prepared with fuel for the chainsaw. We need to make sure that we have fuel for the tractor in case we need to move large limbs or large trees around, because with a hurricane comes a lot of damage. We learned from Hurricane Sally and the fact that we are very far out of town and we would typically be one of the last houses that would get power restored based on where we are. So we need to make sure that we are prepared for our animals, for ourselves, and for any kind of emergencies. Whether you have the same situation as us with living in the South and living in an area where we have to deal with hurricanes and rough storms that will potentially take water access and electricity access away, or if you live in an area where you have to deal with rolling outages because of supply, it's good to be prepared. For us, our main areas are electricity, water, and food. We have the shelter prepared. Make sure that you have everything that you need to be able to provide for your family, to provide for your animals, and
have a safe storm season.